I built a benchmark to answer a very simple question. Which AI model is best for hacking? There are many amazing models out there, but as a standard user, you'll get blocked immediately. If you try to use Fable, good luck. You'll get blocked in the first request. You can't access them or use them without getting refusals. If you even try to use Fable, all of your requests are going to be blocked. So to solve that, I built a benchmark where I assessed every single LLM and tried to see how often would I be blocked. It really surprised me, and we're going to talk a lot about it. I'm really excited. But first, you need to understand how and why it was made. First off, safety refusals are really annoying. I've experienced it myself. For the academic work, I was building a simple pen testing tool, and I was getting blocked from left and right. So I applied for their Trusted Cyber program. I did not even get the response. So then I started thinking about how can I actually decrease those refusals? How can I bring the number down? What are some of the techniques? And there are two. First is you soften the tone. Instead of saying you want to hack something, you want to pen test something, you say you want to do just simple testing. You want to just check your own system. And second is role play. Not that kind of role play, but you tell model to pretend that it's a pen tester, and that way it's supposed to steer the safety guards less. As soon as you implement those strategies, you're going to notice that for many of the requests, it's going to work. You're not going to get blocked. But refusals are going to keep coming back to you, and you'll be surprised where. As you see, majority of refusals started to come from the tool outputs. Not when you tell Planner to attack or to assess what the best step should be, but when the agentic loop runs, it tries to retrieve the information and process that. It found something from the output and it got blocked. And you know what the more surprising thing is? In 80% of times, it was just few steps away from solving the entire puzzle or finding the flag, whatever, literally when it matters the most, and it screwed it up. And yeah, some errors also happened during the planner thinking, but the super majority of them came from tool calls. So what should you do? You should always resend the same request. LLMs are non-deterministic. There's a high likelihood that if you send the same request, it will be accepted next time. And that is the best first step you can take. You don't know how capable the other AI model is. It might not be able to follow up and finish up the tasks or plans from one model to another. Unless models are very similar, I would really caution against it. You want a model that did everything to continue its work. Why would you want to switch to a different model that might not know or have capabilities that your model has? But what do you do when it fails again? Retrying is the best next step, and in 50% of cases, it just solves the problem. Your first thought might be to use heretic uncensored models. In their neural net, literally most of the patterns where the refusals were coming from were removed. And now they respond to everything, which is great. But there is one problem. They are really dumb. Because you obliterated and removed so much stuff from the LLM, it just became dumb. It cannot do anything, and good luck getting things done, especially doing a hacking. It's like removing half of someone's brain. Yeah, it does not refuse, but gives you dumb responses now. Its full thinking loop is broken. Yeah, in majority of the cases, they try to minimize that, but we're talking here about the best AI models that you can use for hacking. And you think just decreasing its cognitive ability is not going to have an impact on your cyber strategy? This is the exact problem that occurs with other jailbreaking technique, and it's called long context or context overflow. Call it whatever you want. The basic idea is you put a lot of context in the model, and because it has to process so much stuff, it gets confused and likelihood of your things not getting blocked are higher. But again, if model is too dumb to recognize that you asking to crack some shitty code is illegal, you think it's actually going to be able to do that, you have literally dumbed down the model by telling it to do 100 different things at the same time. And it's not going to be able to do any of them. So then what can you do? And this is where our benchmark comes in. I needed to find out which models would keep on working without using some of those extreme jailbreaking techniques that just make model dumb and make your entire work inefficient. And after 200 million tokens and a lot of my money, here it is. Just a quick note, there are two types of refusals here. There's orange and red lines. The red line is immediate block, like the safety model that immediately blocks your request. For example, in Claude, when you ask Fable to do something and it just immediately switches back to Opus 4.8. That's what the dark red stands for. The light red is refused by the model, like when the request actually reaches the model and model reads it and it understands what you ask. And this is when model responds, but it says it's not going to do that. Now about the chart, I was really shocked that when you use safety prompts well, you get 0 refusal rate on Kimi K3. The best model, one of the frontier models out there, gets 0 refusals. So you can do anything you want. I was really not expecting these many models to just respond plainly. I double checked multiple times. I was expecting all of them to have at least some level of safeguard, but nope, not at all. Another interesting thing is how the Opus is the most blocked model out there for cybersecurity. You would think Fable's better, but it has a lot of refusals that passed compared to Opus. And I find that very interesting. It's just Anthropic's way of saying that Opus 5 is better than Fable now. Another interesting fact is that 2 different charts for GPT 5.5. Initially, when I built my own pen testing tool, I was consistently getting 46% blocks. All of those 411 flags are actually from my own pen testing tool. And they all got blocked by GPT 5.5 in June. And if you retried, yeah, 50% would pass, but all of them came from GPT 5.5. And this was 6 weeks ago. And now, if you run the exact same test on GPT 5.5, you only get refusal rate of 4. So what this means is that the fact that Sol is heavily blocked now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be like that in the future. As soon as they're going to release GPT 6.0 or whatever their next big thing is, they're significantly going to decrease the weights. I've seen it myself, so be excited about that in the future, yeah, you would be able to probably use both Fable and Opus for your penetration testing. I can confirm this also with a Fable. I don't have it in the benchmark, but I tried myself to use Fable in any way when it actually came out in June, and it was not budging at all. Nothing worked. But right now, as you see, more requests pass in Fable than in Opus, so that was really surprising. But now you might be wondering, wait a second, wasn't Fable hacked? Isn't it possible to actually already use Fable? Didn't Pliny the Liberator actually crack the Opus? And yes, he did, but there's a catch. It works well when you use long context, and another thing that he found was you have to use Cyrillic terms. And yes, it did respond the way you wanted it to respond. But there's one problem. This works well if you want to get back response to your inappropriate question. But we have already talked why the long context makes your AI models dumb, and the same is also true for these characters. These are great for 1 or 2 examples, but if you want to consistently use it in Pentesting agent, it's very difficult. And there's a reason for that. As you remember, majority of the failures when you set things up well comes from tool outputs. What are you going to do every time it gets refused? Call your Russian friend and be like, hey, can you help me translate this into Cyrillic in order to crack the model? That makes no sense. Or what about the thinking steps? It's not just a simple response that you need. You need AI agent to actually work and get things done, which involves understanding what it did before. And what you're going to convert everything that it returns into Cyrillic and then provide it back. You know how much it would dumb the model down? A lot. A lot more so that it's not even worth it to be used. So, in the end, was Fable hacked? Yes. But was this hack any significant? Would it have led to it being used and cracking everything in the world? Absolutely not. And that is what makes this benchmark even more useful. In cybersecurity tests, what you actually need is a model that is consistent and responds to your request with the least amount of bullshit. For that reason, Kimi K3 is the best model out there that you can use for cyber testing. But that's mostly for us, the plebes, the ones who don't have the cyber trusted access. If you do, then I would use Fable. Benchmarks and all the other information is linked in the description. Let me know what you think. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. It would be a nice gesture, really.